Welcome to Cannabis School. I'm your host, Jesse Angeles.
And I'm Brandon Elder.
And we're here to talk to you about everything pertaining to cannabis, from vape,
flower,
edibles,
strains,
and everything in between.
Aside from that big boy,
so you see a lot of purple. I mean, you always get the orange pistil hairs, but a lot of purple spots. Not necessarily like an overwhelming purple.
No, like
hue.
deep within it.
Mm-hmm.
I think some of the, and maybe that's one of the darker leaves, some of the trim leaves that are left.
Yeah, I'm impressed with this trim. As you can tell, like one of the things that's been frustrating with me, even with some of Dragonfly, is I will find a lot of stems. Recently, I found a lot of stems in my grind, and it's really annoying. But
Just from like big nugs, or do you notice that they're long, skinny ones on the stem?
ones on the stem.
So they should have trimmed it off the stem and left that. Yeah.
And especially where you're paying a higher premium.
Oh, yeah. You expect to not have stick stems and seeds.
Mm-hmm. And, honestly, it just makes me want to go, it sucks that we don't get our thing for Pure Plan here, because Pure Plan is a fantastic grower, fantastic strain. It's one, their grow is done by Dragonfly, but their extraction, everything else is done somewhere else.
Yeah.
And I know I've heard a lot of hate towards them locally.
Yes.
But I'll tell you right now.
It smells good.
Well, dude, you know what? This is so crazy.
Well,
this has got like...
And this is the Dawgfather OG. That's what we're checking out today.
Oh, yeah, dude. The Dawgfather OG. This is cool. This actually has a floral scent.
Interesting.
No, not bad.
The slight floral.
Smell it. You will get the...
Oh, yeah.
Right?
No, very floral.
Almost like springtime blossoms.
That is the most dominant flavor or smell that I'm getting is floral.
Not weed.
Surprising.
Let's grind it up. Let's see what it is like.
Oh, I did. I ground up a little bit.
Oh, nice.
I ground up with the other nugs in here, just not this big old beauty.
That thing is cool looking. Like, I love seeing those, dude. Like, have you ever seen those giant colas?
Yeah.
I mean, you're just like, dude, I just want to hold one.
Oh, I did. That was like going through helping harvest and stuff when I did outdoor things at some places. There were definitely some plants that I had hugged and like had big pictures of, because it was the most incredible smelling, like it was like heaven, but cooler. It was here.
That's funny.
No, I'm actually really excited for this. This one has like Chemdawg and Sin City Kush is what the genetic line is supposed to be on this one.
Yeah, the Chemdawg's supposed to be more uplifting and not necessarily relaxing, but just kind of keeps you going. The Sin City, what I read, is that one's more of the sedative, the pain relieving.
It's an indica dominant, pretty. Let's see what that one was. Yeah, that one's more euphoria, happy, sleepy. Like it's a pretty sedative, pretty solid indica.
Well, and there's such a large amount of people right now that are taking GLP-1. These are peptides to help you with your diabetes, which was originally created for, and now people use it mainly for weight loss. One of the things with trizepatide or semaglutide or semaglutide, if you're that person who gets upset if it's pronounced the way that you don't like it, I've heard many different doctors going, oh, it's semaglutide, and other ones go, it's semaglutide. Like, you know what? It goes in your body. Nobody cares about the name, but it is really good. The only bad thing to it is the side effects. So you have a lot of GI problems at first, meaning you'll get a couple days of the squirts. And then also you feel really nauseous.
That's not
Some
fun.
days it just sucks because it cuts your hunger down. And one of the great things is cannabis, because cannabis is like, I will take that throughout for any type of cramping I get.
Oh, yeah.
GI problems. Like I lean more towards a hybrid indica dominant. Because the indica strains, I know that I saw this whole video of this lady going, strains are bullshit. I know, but it just helps me to understand what the terpene profile is, because that's what I see when I look at that going, oh, I wonder what the terpene profile is.
Well, and you still check that anyway. Just because it says indica dominant doesn't mean, hey, this is the strain I'm picking. Right. It just goes, hey, if this is what I'm looking for, I might be looking at this one to see what terpenes it has, if it's going to be the experience I want, and then from there we'll go.
Right. And it's, once you've been a connoisseur for a little bit, you start being able to see that terpenes are more what you're aiming for than instead of just a strain. Because strains sound cool, but if you've got a distillate, say, it's going to be slightly different from what you're reading on the tin.
You know what I do like on this? Wow. So Bit Coffee, even from a vape, a vape, I like how many terpenes they actually include on this. This has a list of 20 plus terpenes, it looks like, that are on here that are found in this, that have like the milligrams and everything. This is way more in depth than we find with Dragonfly or most of the other cultivars here.
I've noticed that even some cultivars don't have any information whatsoever. And that's really irritating. If you're new to the cannabis culture and you're getting into the grow, we see you.
Yeah. Well, everyone does, because it's like, holy shit, this is a very dry coffee strain.
It's got hints of petrichor in there. You can
like the rain.
like black amber.
Very similar note.
Black amber is different from flower to concentrate. Here's the weird thing, dude. The flower is much more potent.
What?
I have done that with my dab. And
Who is the concentrate done by, do you remember?
Same company. Pure Plan.
So Pure Plan flower, Pure Plan concentrate. And you felt the flower was the better experience?
Let's just say this. When I have black amber, it doesn't stay long.
Yeah.
I have had my 1 gram ball for 3 months.
I mean, that's a long time. How often do you use it?
You know what? I go to my other dabs more. Frosted Flakes.
Is that because it's almost sacred? Because of the cost? Because that's sometimes how I am with it. Like,
I wish. Dude, it's no better or lesser than. Well, it's a little lesser than because it's quicker. I mean, the onset's faster.
Yeah.
But again, it depends upon the, even the dab rig. Like, let's talk about dab rigs. When you have a coil atomizer that is heating your concentrate, it is not going to be the same.
Oh, no, it's not. Well, even Abe, one of the audience members, he sent in a message going, hey, I finally mastered the nectar collector. He'd found he was doing it too cold. His temp wasn't quite hot enough to get what he wanted from it, and he's figured out the better temp for that. And I was like, I totally understand. When I used my dab straws, my version, like the cheaper versions of it, I had found I was going too hot at first, and it took me a bit to master that and figure out, how do I get the best, most effective flavor experience from my product with the device I have. And, just like many of you at home, it's figuring out, how do I not cough as much? How do I, take this, or how do I get the most out of my products? Thank God for vaporizers, though, because I feel like this has given me such more longevity out of my cannabis.
And the good thing too, on these vapor, we're both using Storz and Bickel today. I've got my Mighty Plus. It just turned off.
I'm rocking the Venti.
That never turns off unless you turn it off.
No, it does. It does. It actually
How much time?
I don't know. I think it's closer to maybe 3, 4, 5 minutes, because I do notice that it does shut off eventually, but it is just a longer session that it has.
Yeah, I would say a little longer than that for sure.
So, but it's fantastic.
Oh,
because
yeah.
it's
what I
totally
really
done.
like about that is you can control the airflow. Now, this thing is great on airflow if you leave it a little dirty. That sounds bad. Most people are going to be like, what? But I'll tell you right now, when you clean it, you're getting hot air. So I've got mine set to 370. That's 370 that doesn't have to travel the entirety of that. It's right here.
Yeah.
The bowl is right there, which means you're getting direct heat. So
it's quite warm.
Well, and they tell you this, to pull very gently.
Very lightly, yeah.
But I can't.
It's harder to do.
I'm just like, I want it now. I'm J.G. Wentworth, and I want it now. But it really is, dude. Did I just spill flour?
I mean, we got a vac. No, lid's on.
Dude.
No, it's really nice, though. This is my first experience with it.
That's what's awesome, too. Always check your bowl after. Don't necessarily drop it. Now, here's the difference. Storz and Bickel, they're really good. You get an even burn.
The whole way through.
Air vapes. Nope.
Inconsistent within your bowl.
It's just too hot. So even when you go at a lower temp, you have to kind of compensate, because you think about it, there is an oven inside of an oven. You've got this little brass thing that conducts heat pretty quickly.
It heats up, yeah.
It cools quickly.
Retains heat. Yeah.
But it retains heat the entire time, so it's double baking it. So what I started doing is I turned the temp down even lower, so I don't
I'd get like
overbake
no
it.
hit, though, I feel like.
You
Or
just
at
have
least
to-
no smoke.
I increased the time. I don't hit mine until like minute 4, but it's 5 minutes.
Oh, okay,
so I
yeah.
needed to get warm. Unless you put the flour directly in the bowl.
Yeah.
Then you get a better experience, but then it's really fucking dirty.
Yeah, that's the hard part. My favorite thing with this is, out of all the products, these last the longest without, like, I went the whole week without cleaning this. And then I cleaned it this morning again, and now it's spotless. But
how long did we exchange? We traded. What?
how long did we trade?
How long ago was that?
A couple months?
Yeah.
A few months? 3 months
That's how
maybe?
long it has been since I have cleaned it. I just cleaned it yesterday,
shit.
and it wasn't bad at all. Dude, there was a couple of like big deposits of debris in there, but it's so
doesn't
shiny.
affect the airflow and how it pulls. And
It
the
actually is
experience.
better because not so much comes through. When I cleaned it and I took my first hit,
Oh, it's so much airflow. You're like, oh!
that's what I love about the Venti because I can adjust that. And then as the bowl goes on
Gotta
longer,
swap back for a
what I
bit?
did is I go, no. What I would do is I would just increase the airflow once I get later into the bowl, which is nice. So that's just the thing that I'm thinking, like any kind
I
of
always just
vaporizer.
leave it all the way open. I never adjust the airflow on it. But
Well,
I
I
like
want
it
to
all the way.
take bigger hits at first so I can keep my temp high, but it doesn't allow as much air. And when I pull in slowly, it cools it all, and I don't get any cough at all. But I'm impatient as fuck, dude.
What? Me too. Honestly, I feel like this is pretty straight to my head. Not crazy cerebral, more like a little bit behind my eyes and very central to my head.
Dude, look at that.
Oh, that's a beautiful light brown.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You could
Lightly toasted.
You could do another. I'm running another bowl off of the same bowl. I know that the people will say, look, the feeling is not the same. True.
Mine's still going on the original bowl, though.
I know.
And
That's what I'm saying.
I feel
dude.
like it's the same thing. If you continue that, it's the same as doing like one bowl on the Venti.
I think it's like a $75 or $100 difference between these, but that's
I
definitely.
thought it was like $50.
Is
I
it
thought
like
they were
50
pretty close.
This one's gone down. It's like $2.99.
Oh, okay, and this might be $3.99, so it could be
Yeah.
$100 difference. But the thing that I like to find is 420's around the corner. You know what that means? Great deals coming out.
Hell yeah.
So if you don't have a Stores and Bickle, you don't have George Jetson yet, wait till 420. Go around, check them out, and get yourself a great deal. Get yourself a new product. Get a device that you really love and have just been holding out on. Now's the time.
Well, and I get it. You know, we're all on a budget. We're all trying to figure shit out. You know, not everybody's going to have a company to send out something to review for them. We totally get that. We actually need to do another run of those ones because we love to give those products to you guys. But the thing, though, man, it's really hard to come by because there's a lot of really cheap vaporizers, and it's very tempting. We've tried a lot of them, and they're nice for the purpose that they have. But
I'd be content if that was what I was using and that's what I had spent my money on. I think I would be
Dude.
decently content with a lot of them.
like the packs, remember when we got the packs? That's all we used.
The PAX was the very first one I actually bought. I think I bought one.
Who did I give that to? Do you remember that
I did buy
little Yoda pipe?
It was shaped like Yoda?
No. They called them the Yoda pipe.
No.
It was this pipe. I was all excited to show Brandon. This is like pre cannabis school. And they had this like, it was aluminum bowl. And it had this like, the only thing I think of was like a
Trigger, and
Yeah.
it was glass tube, and
yeah. And you could
Yeah.
get small tube or big tube, and it was supposed to fill. It never worked the way it was supposed to.
no, you gave it to me
Yeah.
because you're like, oh, I don't really smoke. I don't smoke a lot of flower because it was before cannabis school. You also were not as open with your partner, your spouse.
No,
about-
I was at this time. Totally was. She knew I smoked at the house, but it was the problem is that I was smoking in the bathroom. And I had this, you can invest into a smoke buddy, but just get yourself a fucking toilet paper roll, a dryer sheet, and some rubber bands.
If I were to invest, a smoke buddy wouldn't be the way to do it. There's those newer like charcoal filter fans and stuff that you put in your room, and you blow it directly into that, and that clears it up.
I've read reviews on that one.
Oh,
It doesn't
no.
get rid of the smell of weed.
What? Well, that's literally what they sell it for. Like
I
half of
know.
it was here, but they have ones for cigars and that too. So I would guess there is some type, but they're probably hella expensive.
Dude, it's the same thing with fucking vaporizers, man. Look, if you spend a little more, you're going to get a little more. You usually get a way better warranty. You usually get a longer life out of it. The thing that I've loved about it and then I don't like about it. I love that it's so consistent,
Yep.
right? I get about 7 to 8 bowls out of one charge,
And
which isn't.
reliable.
And you know what, dude? You're gonna charge this. I mean, if you're smoking enough weed like me and Brandon, you're gonna
Charge it every day.
yeah, you're gonna charge this shit just like it's your phone.
Yep.
Like you're just gonna yep, phone, AirPods.
Yep. And vaporizer.
And the thing I like about this one compared to that one, now this your little bowl stir, I think is one of the most unnecessary things that they've included.
I don't ever use it, but
No.
maybe if you're on the go and you're trying to like well, it dumps out nicely though. You don't even need that.
No. And if you needed to move your bowl around, I could understand it. This is crazy. So look at this. Like if I did this one bowl with the air vapes, that would be dark brown.
Oh yeah.
This is like a
It's a
mustard yellow.
peanutty. Yeah, it's not really bad at all.
I could do
Another bowl.
another bowl out of that one. Brandon and I had that was the one thing that we really liked about the packs is that it would go forever. And at the same, like that was the thing I didn't like. I didn't know when it was going to be dead.
Yeah.
I did like the whole like you push the top and then the lights.
It was I loved how sleek it was.
Yeah.
How small. It was a nice little cosmetic piece. And when I bought it years ago, that was a fantastic first.
Dude, it was the bomb.
It
I love
sucked
that
as
one.
far as flavor goes.
Gross.
Tastes like peanuts every time.
Yep.
But it was great in the fact that it was small. It was portable. We had this little thing to vaporize all over.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, oh my gosh. Now we've just fit better products. That's all.
Okay, dude. I really like this strain. This is relaxing, slow onset, real slow onset, not anything crazy strong.
Yeah,
This
nothing
is
overwhelming.
it would be like for your beginner novice.
23% THC.
It's not bad.
Yeah. Not crazy high.
But
Not
again,
10.
like, dude, I've gotten way more high off of a 15 to 16% because of the entourage effect
Oh, yeah.
and because of the quality of grow, the other cannabinoids that are involved. I mean, dude, just so many things. It's the same with like Steph. Steph would come home one time. She had an edible on the way home because it takes a while to kick in.
Yeah.
But she had an empty stomach and it kicked in fast.
Oh.
And she's like, well, I gotta get something to eat. And I was like, yeah, the one thing I was like, yeah, always eat before you munch on your edibles. At least that's what I do.
That helps me mine kick in harder if I have food in me and
Me
like
too.
fats and
And it
things.
stays longer.
Yeah. So that's why I do it though, because I'm like, well, if I don't have a lot of fat in my body.
No.
So it's not really binding to as much, and so I don't feel like I get the best use out of that dose if I don't eat with it.
Well, one thing I've been doing is like, I'll get bold because I mean, I've been doing like I don't mind protein shakes. Like any of my kids smell the protein, they're like, "Ugh." And I'm like, yeah, dude. I mean, if you've been doing it for years, you just don't care anymore. It's like my testosterone shots now. It freaked me the fuck out trying to do that at first. Now, like last night, I was sitting there watching a video about the pyramids, and I'm just like wiping alcohol on my ass, and then I just, yep.
Oh yeah, well you get so used to it. It's
It's the same thing.
but it's
Like,
such a little prick that like you probably don't. I
no,
don't know,
it's
like
it's weird at
if
first.
you do something all the time.
I don't even feel the pain. I don't feel
No.
it at all.
Well, it's like half the time when I'm working, something happens and I'm like, oh, there's blood. Are you bleeding? Oh shit, no, that's my blood.
Dude.
And it's like, or you're sitting there and you're like, wait, is this my blood or your blood? I don't know. Oh, I'm bleeding and you're bleeding. Well, shit, whose is this? And you're like, well,
You're chicken.
and that's just it. It's kind of the same thing where you little tiny things like that. At first it's like, man, I'm stabbing a needle into my skin. It's this weird thing, but then after a while, like I said, it becomes so much part of it. You're like, yeah, I know what this is.
Well, dude, I remember you reminded me of that. It's
You're looking for
somewhere- a scar. It's on this form. My tattoo might be covering it up now.
Oh, that could be. Was it from a needle?
No. So we were working up in Midway, and this woman was building this ginormous house that was half of a ranch.
Okay.
And it was literally it was built like a ranch. Like the house
It's very fitting for Midway.
was going to be gorgeous. Now, we didn't even get to the house yet. So we were starting on her property. And what she wanted was a stone gate. She wanted a 15-foot high stone gate, dry stack with this type of sandstone that is really easy to work with. It's awesome. I've worked with some rock, and I'm like,
That's fantastic, then.
fuck this shit. I can't shape it. But we were laying the rock up there. But what we did is we had these giant, probably about that big, of a steel square pole.
Okay.
It was the base. So that's what we could lay our rock around. So it would stay. And so there did that one. But at the top, we put this it's like 300-pound capstone, right?
Yeah.
And these capstones are so fucking big. So we have a crane that brings one of them over and lowers it down after we had finished the stack. We get to the top.
Yeah.
And then we start moving it around so we could get it there.
Place nicely. Yeah.
Well, we were placing it before we could get to the top. We wanted to place the capstone to let us know exactly how much room we had.
How high you had to get to. Oh, so it was floating.
So it's
on a crane.
On a crane. Yeah. And so we're twisting it around, but at the top, you use the saw to cut these things, and it has all these metal burrs around there, sharp as fuck.
That are sticking out.
So we're turning it, and it slices my forearm. Now, I don't care. Blood doesn't freak me out.
No.
And I've seen trauma. I've seen a lot of trauma at this point. When I worked at the hospital, like people committing suicide and shit like that, or trying to. And when I sliced it, I go, whoa.
Yeah.
And I go, oh, fuck. Hey, Paul. And this is the foreman. And I go, Paul. And he goes, and fell off the scaffolding.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah.
What?
Hit the mud, but he passed out and fell
from
off
seeing blood.
From seeing blood.
Oh
He passed out. And we're like, fuck. And I jumped down, and it just blood's going down my arm.
Yeah.
It's not spurting, right? So there was a cool video. Like, if you just see, it's a bleed, it's darker blood, it's slow moving. And then if it's, really bright and it's spurting, you hit an artery.
Yeah.
So it didn't spurt. So immediately I knew that, so I grabbed it and I just squoze on it, and I'm like, I need a clean shirt, something. But when Paul, when he fell, I let go. And my first concern was that he hit his head.
Yeah.
And that we need to get him to the hospital. But luckily this fucker landed on mud and grass. So he saved his ass. And when I wake him up, Paul, you okay? And he sees blood all over my hand. And I'm like, oh, motherfucker. And I'm like, I'm the guy that fucking got hurt. So we had to call our boss.
That's hilarious.
And our boss comes to the site and looks at it. And he's like, what do you want to do? And I'm like,
yeah,
I'm going to need stitches. And he's like, fuck. Because he was mad because I got hurt on the job site.
Because that means he has to take care of it. He has to stop working. You have to go get taken care of. It's a whole thing.
So I just said, look, I'm going to drive myself to work med. It's right by where I lived close to my boss. So we lived up in
Mapleton.
No, it was Hobble Creek. So it's Springville technically, but Hobble Creek is way in the mountains.
Yeah.
And far away. It's 30, 40 minutes away from the freeway. And it's cut off from everything. But I was like, oh, there's a work med right by there. I'll just go there. I said, you got the paperwork in the car? And he goes, yeah. And it was all covered in dirt and shit.
Oh, yeah.
And it's because he never uses it.
No.
And I'm like, dude, I said, look, man, I'm sorry. And I said, and he goes, no, it's fine. And I'm like, well, fucking get the burrs off next time.
Yeah.
If he's the one that fucking cut it too.
Oh, dang.
And I'm like, yeah, you don't just leave that. We're supposed to just start doing that. We weren't thinking about it. And it wasn't giant burr. It was this big.
That's a big burr.
Yeah. No, but I've seen ones
Oh, yeah, they're bigger, but that's still a big burr.
Because the metal almost melts and spreads out.
Yeah.
As it's
and it leaves these weird little thin...
jagged, fucking knives.
Paper thin.
Yeah, and they will slice
steel.
you. But dude, that was so funny. Paul passed out, and I was like,
see, that's hilarious.
Whatever.
It was when I was doing Jackie's floor and redoing it on my own.
When you cut your fucking hand up?
So I was sitting there, and the table saw's out in her front yard.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where it happens. And so instantly when it does, I'm like, fuck. So I grab my wrist, and I squeeze my wrist, and I walk inside, and I start looking around her house for Band-Aids. And I start looking around for super glue. And I'm like, well, I always glue my cuts closed. So
yeah, but that's...
it wasn't cut. My finger was like hamburger meat at the end.
Yeah.
And so I'm looking around. I'm like, I can't find this anywhere. So my sister's a nurse. She lives 2 blocks from the hospital, and she's at work at the hospital. I'm doing her floor in her kitchen. So I call her up because I just use like Siri. I'm like, hey, do this. And it calls her. And the whole time I'm just holding my wrist. I'm like, hey, how's your day going? She's like, good, what's up? And I'm like, where's your super glue? And she's like, why? And I was like, well, I just got a little cut. And she's like, does it need stitches? And I'm like, And she's like, I'll be right there. So she rides, like, she walks to work sometimes because it was 2 blocks from her house and it was a nice day. So she gets a ride home from her coworker and she walks in. My finger's literally hamburger meat and I'm still standing there like, I mean, shock happens when you're...
Yeah, when you fuck yourself up.
Yeah. So, but it's just that, like, I don't know, those types of things usually in that moment, like, it doesn't even click in my head of like, oh, hey, there's blood, or that's...
Yeah.
It's more of like, and when it is bleeding, it's like, hey, you're getting blood on this. We should stop so we don't get blood on this. Like, it's not usually, oh, we're in so much pain or this. It's like, oh, hey, we should stop that so we don't make a mess of our work, right?
Yeah.
and that's usually what it ends up being. But that's hilarious that he just like passed out twice.
But this is the thing though, man. I mean, I've been injured so many times as a kid, like slicing my
Do you
body
think
open.
it's psychological? That, like, because that seems almost totally out of their control.
Well, I think it would be, I think it's usually like a learned behavior. He saw somebody as a child. Like, that's usually where our fears start stemming from. Like
some traumatic experience.
Well, right. Like both my parents, I think more than likely they hated spiders or creepy crawlies.
Okay.
But my son Xander will play with spiders.
Interesting.
He'll pick them up and let them, and it's just...
Addie used to when she was like little, and then seven or 8.
She learned to fear.
Yeah, something about it. And I was like, what changed? Because she used to be so fearless about like bugs and everything, and then something, and she's like...
Well, and
totally
that's
different.
usually you see somebody else who's scared of it. So when Xander was into it, I was just like, oh yeah. In my head, I'm like, what the fuck are you doing? Like, you're playing with a dangerous animal. But the majority of these animals are very they're benign. And so it's funny, dude, because we learn these fears and that's where it comes from. But you can unlearn those. It just takes time. Like, I used to have a big fear of spiders. And I think that's where my fear came from, was probably my parents. But I got over it completely. I mean, almost to the point where I could, they're weird and I don't want them crawling. I don't like anything on my skin, but I don't like other people touching me. So, I mean, unless it's my wife. But like back rubs and shit like that.
Yeah.
Like, I hate that fucker that shows up to a networking event and he's like rubbing your shoulder. Hey, man, what's up? I'm like, the fuck
Yeah,
off
that
me.
would be weird.
Why are you touching me like that?
Yeah. We're not that close.
Camp counselor?
No, never had that. People at church were that weird.
Really?
Yeah. Because they come up, oh, how you doing today? Nowhere else. Maybe like, no, I don't think I had any weird uncles or aunts that would do that.
No, I mean, I
always
didn't
just
either.
at church.
I'm just saying.
That was really the only place I've got that type of like...
touchy crap.
Yeah.
Like, and it's funny because I'm a very open, loving, emotional person, but I just don't, I mean, touch is...
I'm a very touchy person though. I'm a very like...
No, you like...
person.
Yeah, I love hugs.
And like...
It's massages and stuff. Like, I think it's the intimate thing. Like,
yeah.
I couldn't even be cool with like, I mean, I don't know what I would do. Like, back in the day, like if some chick like touched my thigh, I'd be like, now?
Yeah.
But like, I remember when I tore my hamstring in this... They put this brand new like assistant at the physical therapy clinic, and I had partially torn my hamstring in a movie that I was working on. And when we were working on, I was like, they're like, oh, you need to get like massage therapy and stuff like that. And this girl's like, did you bring any shorts? I'm like, no, we got some pair over here. And apparently they got them from 70s roller skating movies, because this shit was so high. It was like the Navy's Catch Me, Fuck Me shorts.
Well, it's because they're trying
to get UDT swimmers.
As much to massage while you still feel uncomfortable. Like when I first would go get massages, like
do you get fully naked?
I do now. I didn't when I first started. I was in my underwear, and over years and like finding comfortability, I'm like, what's the worst thing that happens? They see my dick, they see my ass. Honestly, who the hell cares? Am I really that nervous that someone's going to see me? I'm a fucking tiny person. Like, if I'm self-conscious, I'm self-conscious when I'm at the gym or something.
Yeah, if I was fat, I could cover up some of those things, right? But it's like all there.
But I'm like, it doesn't matter. So
like a skeleton.
Yeah. So I'm like, really?
With some skin on it.
Yeah. So I'm like, what do I like? I can sit and be nervous about that. And I think when I at my first massage, I was like, well, what if they see me naked? What if they give me a rub down and I get really hard? And then I feel really uncomfortable.
So I got to ask that because
I was 19.
What have you ever had that time where it's moved?
No, thankfully.
No, it's usually like women like Olga.
No.
You had some really hot chick put your hands on you?
I have. I've had all sorts of them. I've had hot chicks. I've had guy massages. I've had a really larger lady who gave really good deep muscle massages.
Yeah.
So I've had all sorts of ones. But it was that fear of like, oh my God, what if I get an erection while I'm getting massage? And I'm going to feel really uncomfortable and they're going to feel really uncomfortable.
It's understandable for you.
So that was the thing of like, shit, like what if that happens? It's not happened, but in the back of my mind, it was like, oh shit, like what if that does? Like, I don't want him to think I'm a creep because I was sitting here getting massaged and all of a sudden my dick's getting hard.
See, isn't that crazy, dude? Because like mine was that one. And I don't know if she was getting fresh or she just didn't know. But she's putting her hand and it touched my balls twice, like her fingertips did. And I mean, she's not wearing gloves.
Yeah.
So I'm like,
yeah.
Is this girl just like, is she just like a kind of like a psychopath who gets off on this, like touching old men's balls?
Well, maybe she likes grazing the raisin, it just...
I guess.
Or maybe it was an accident,
I mean, raisin, dude. I mean, I don't think so.
It just popped in my head.
Grazing,
and I was like,
grazing the raisin. It'd be more of the nipples. Like, that's what my buddy used to say. There was this woman I worked with, and we were just all friends at work, and I'm like roughhousing with her and roughhousing the other guys, and my buddy goes, dude, stop doing that. And I'm like, why? And he goes, I think she likes it. And I'm like, what do you mean? Because she's smuggling raisins. And her nipples were so hard. And I
haven't
laughing.
heard that in so long.
I know, right?
Oh my God.
Smuggling raisins. I just laugh. I'm like, oh. And he goes, yeah, she's like, and I'm like, no, that's totally cool. She was married. And he's just like, yeah. He goes, nothing good happens when that starts happening. And I'm like, hey, that's cool. Then she was always weird. She's like, hey, how come you don't play fight with me anymore? I'm like, I don't know.
She's like, it's hard for me to go home and have sex with my husband because I'm just not riled up. So
she couldn't have sex with her husband anyways because her husband was like, this is the same woman. I don't know if I told you she was being stalked. Yeah.
At work?
From some guy. Some guy that they didn't know. And I was her boss at work. And she was telling me all about this. And I'm like, I'm Mr. Protector, but she's my friend. That's all I think. And that's at the time. Again, I'm young and I'm stupid. Okay, I'm probably like 22 years old. And she's like, yeah, this guy comes by my house at night and he sits in his truck across from our apartment complex. And this is like in South Provo, South Provo back in the day. You know that red brick place over there by Jimmy's Love Bug?
Yeah.
There's a 7-Eleven by
there.
Right there. So the red apartments, that's where I'm talking about. And you know what I'm talking about.
That 7-Eleven was where I met a guy and bought my first bag of swag back in the day.
Yeah, that tracks.
Yeah, because I was like, where do you have to go? And they're like, oh, you have to go down to the poor side of town, like this sketchy side. I was like,
right?
Oh, okay. Well, I mean, go with my friends. They know where to get this, so that's cool.
Sketch as fuck.
Go down, get it. It was always.
Nick Angeles was part Dabsatati in one or more.
What the fuck? It started talking out loud.
It reads off all my text.
As they arrive?
Yeah.
Weird.
Anyways, no, it was my sound. I was like, what the fuck does it sound like? Anyways, you were going on.
No, I really like this strain. It's a very, it says it's supposed to be like uplifting, happy, good for depression, anxiety.
Yeah, really good.
Mood lifting, mood boosting. And I'm like,
not hungry.
It's supposed to help with appetite loss, though, I think.
Yeah, I don't feel that. I mean, there are...
No, nausea. That's what it was.
Nausea. It could. It definitely could. And usually your indica-leaning strains, strains are typically, they're really good for GI problems. Depending on, that's when your percentages of THC are really going to matter, though. Does it like what I give myself?
The higher percentage helps more with your GI stuff.
Yes.
Okay.
What I equivalently am getting, and for those who know, I have given myself IBS through injections. The only reason why I was doing that was they just had me on a super high dose.
Yeah.
Now I've lowered my dose. I don't have those anymore.
Dude, that's amazing. It's
Yeah.
literally, I mean,
I
it's
mean,
kind of like what we talk about on this dosing.
my blood sugar is slowly getting lower because I have to do that, but I've got way more of I've got like 10 weeks worth of shots. So that's so awesome.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like, dude, I'm telling you, like, if you've got irritable bowels, if you've got headaches, like migraines, good ones where this would be a really great one. My wife gets migraines frequently, and a lot of it's stress induced.
Yeah.
And the peach OG, perfect.
Okay. Yeah.
Mango OG.
Is hers a lot of
Mango
tension
OG.
headaches that come from it? Like, does it stress tension? Because I feel when I get that sometimes, it's always just so tight up here at the base of my skull and that it's not very often.
This would
It's
be
like
a really
once in
good
a
one
blue
for
moon.
that, man.
Yeah.
Because then you could have that and always a little bit of CBD together has been the best combination to be able to relieve that. And that's what we found. Like Mango OG, she did that, and that one's like perfect for her.
Huh.
And I mean, but she also used to like the Purple Punch edibles.
Mm-hmm.
Now they give her headaches.
What?
Yeah.
Interesting.
But a lot of it's stress induced. So also think about, and I've been thinking about this lately, guys, and maybe we'll talk about this in a sesh where what is it with your endocannabinoid system and stress? Like, how does that, because the way you feel can change the chemical on your serotonin, your dopamine, because if you do enough cannabis, you will get a good amount of dopamine hit from your brain. That's usually those really euphoric ones. Like you're like, ooh. But other things, right? Our endocannabinoid system is, I'm wondering if stress has anything to affect that.
I would imagine, because remember when we had Dr. Riley Kirk on the show, and she said that even setting is a huge thing, but we don't think of that as in where we're actually at. She said that the strain that she normally would use all the time and is great, she puffed out at a place right before a conference. And that put her into a state of anxiety and panic that she had to go on a walk because setting.
Yeah.
So where she was normally safe, comfortable, used to this experience in this place, she wasn't in that place. So, maybe it is. Maybe stress, maybe this strain now sends her down these same thought signals, same patterns, whatever, that she's in the same stress that's causing the tension and that so it doesn't actually dissipate anymore.
Right.
Because,
and that's something else that we talk about all the time, dude. Setting and intention. Like, if you're using it for something, like, research it real quick. That's one of the things I love about ChatGPT is I just ask it real quick. I'm like, hey, I've got a headache and I've got these strains. Which of these terpenes and strains would match really well in helping me with that? What information can you find? And then it goes through all of them, and it's like, you've got a ton of sativa strains. You got one indica strain. Use the indica one, and here's why. And if you have CBD, get CBD and take about this much of CBD. And I was like, cool. Like, that was perfect. Gave it to my wife, and she was great.
That's fantastic.
So it's like, now it's the only thing with her. I think that the last hurdle is letting the kids know that she is, but they pretty much know.
Yeah, it's that fear though. Like, what will they think? Or they're going to think that, because it's the stigma. Well, cannabis is, makes you dumb, makes you this. It's all the things that we grew up learning.
Right.
Or being told.
Well, and I try to make it as normal as possible. Like with my kids ask me, they go, what smells like a skunk in here? And I said, are you stupid?
Well, they know now.
Yeah, I'm like, are you stupid? Like, how long have I been your dad? And they're like, I'm like, yeah. Don't ask dumb questions.
Right.
And now, and if their friends come over and their friends smell me, the kids are like, oh, is that a skunk? Like, oh no, my dad has a medicine that smells, but he's good.
It's been kind of funny. Addie's been several of Addie's friends and that know that I use cannabis. Their friends' parents know because they know that I even have a show. Yeah, it's funny. And they're like, oh, okay, that's cool. Or like, oh, my aunt uses cannabis. Like, it's always someone who's like, oh.
I don't get negative stuff anymore.
Nope. And it's funny because Addie's friends, Mormon friends, like, it doesn't really matter. And non-Mormon friends, because Utah. But like, out wherever you guys are, I'm sure it's the same way. There's people all over who you find. And the problem is, there is a lot of closeted cannabis consumers, but there is a lot of people who are way more open and honest and like accepting or curious about it.
There's also, and I'm gonna give it to Brandon. We're gonna put this link down below. Watch this cocksucker tell everybody that cannabis is one of the worst things in the world, It is propaganda. It is straight up propaganda. Just because they wear a white lab coat and there's a DR in front of their name.
Oh my gosh.
That guy could have a doctorate in elementary education. Any person who has a doctorate and prefers to be called a doctor, first of all, you're a fuck. And
I'm not going to call you it because I just don't see you as that.
No, there's a Dr. Riley Kirk. Dr. Riley Kirk is a scientist and a doctor.
But I respect her. That's why I call her a doctor.
She is.
If
She's
I
a
go
scientist.
to someone for something specific and I value that, I would call them a doctor. If I'm not going to a human
That's like
for
getting a doctorate in
specific
marketing.
expertise, I'm not going to call them anything other than their name. Because to me, their education, their whatever, means fuck all because I'm not there for that.
A doctor for me has always been in the healing sense. So I have a hard time with that one. But anyways, I digress.
Oh, yeah. Well, it's like the unsolicited, like, oh, well, I'm a doctor. Well, I don't give a shit. You don't call me Lord of Underworld Darkness.
Dude.
Like, that's what, like, I identify as this. Call me this. Well, that's cool. You're a doctor. I don't care. It doesn't mean anything to me.
Dude, I remember I've done stuff. I've told people, I'm like, oh, if you take this and this, it'll help you out. And they go, really? How do you know that? And I'm like, I play a doctor on TV.
Yeah.
And I don't say anything past that. And I just keep talking. And they're like, they catch that last part, TV. And they just sit there. And I'm like, yeah, anyways. Yeah, get some Epsom salts, and you should be fine. Right? I mean, it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. This understanding that we're supposed to trust those who have doctorates. Dr. Fauci is a doctor.
Also, many people that I know who are doctors taking their doctorate are hypochondriacs. And so if they think they have everything and know everything, do you potentially have everything? And like,
I used to get freaked out. I used to go to Google all the time.
Yeah, but I know many
anymore.
people who are like that, and it's, hey, but they're even in medical professional doctorate levels of this. And it's like, so if that is the expertise you're coming from and that you want me to trust you as an expert right now?
Dude, you would walk around in a full body condom if you're like an STD expert.
Well, it's like me going around going, hey, I use cannabis, but you should be afraid of it. You should be very afraid of it, and you should be afraid of it. You shouldn't use it because you should be afraid of it. But let me teach you about cannabis, and I use it every day.
Yeah.
And then I'm going, but I'm an expert, and you should trust me. And then, well, why? You're not giving me any credible source. You're just saying, hey, I'm an expert. Where and what makes you an expert? Was it your
credit of this doctor,
2-letter word in front of your name that gives you an expert?
Yeah, and he has scanned the brains of Miley Cyrus and Justin Bieber.
Oh my gosh.
So I am bought in 100%. And I'm like, wait a minute.
Out.
You were able to scan a drug addict's brain?
And 2 people's brain out of how many billions of minds? And that determines that cannabis is harmful because
it's
they've never
carcinogenic.
used anything else. Their family, their parents never used anything else. Their mom, when they were in the womb, never consumed anything else. No other substance or anything that could have been considered harmful in any way to that human was ever introduced into their system. And these 2 minds, that's a very closed-minded perspective to be publicizing.
Well, not only that, I mean, if you are looking for evidence, you'll find it. And it's always that way, regardless of whatever. If you want to argue against or for something, there's always evidence for that. But the thing is that when you just have to look at the results of what people are getting out of it. Like you guys. So pay attention next week. We're coming out with another episode. Pay attention. Get on the sesh. A little longer, but well worth it.
Yeah. Catch you then.
Take it easy.